In our smart, always-on world, our devices can do almost anything. But with that extreme capability comes the trade-off of distraction. So many people today are feeling both overwhelmed and anxious due to our relationship with our smart devices, and many are looking at alternatives to address this. And folks, it's at this exact point where the dumb phone comes in. Devices that are built to be phones in their essence. Texting, calling, a few other features, and that's it. And while we've certainly seen a bunch of interesting releases in the dumb phone space over the past year, in my opinion, the coolest device to ever hit the scene came out way back in 2010. Folks, this is the John's phone. Today we're going to unbox this thing and take a closer look at what very well might be my favorite dumb phone ever made. But first, if you don't know me, I'm Spencer and I like to talk about simple living, frugality, and digital minimalism. Let's get into it. As you see, I have my overhead camera set up today, as well as a bunch of decentralized tools kind of encircling the John's phone here. We're going to get into this, but I want to tell you a little bit about the company itself. So John's phone is known as the world's simplest or most basic cell phone. The only thing that this thing can do is make and receive calls. There's no text messaging in here, there's no camera, there is certainly no internet. This thing is essentially, as I said, a cordless phone that you can carry around wherever you go. The phone was created by an advertising agency based out of Amsterdam, I believe, called John Doe. Straight from the John's Phone website, the John's Phone was designed to be a tongue-in-cheek, basic backlash by targeting users who do not want the flashy features of next-generation models. It can also be known as the anti-iPhone or the dumb phone. We have to keep in mind that when this device came out, the iPhone had only been out for 3 years, so we could see people already getting kind of sick of that type of device in the way that tech was encroaching on our lives, even in the 2010s, and they looked to something like this as an antidote. As I mentioned earlier, this phone is no longer available new. The brand discontinued selling it somewhere around 2018, and this has been very hard to find. Ever since I got into dumb phones in general, interested in disconnecting a bit from my smart devices, I had heard about this years ago on a Reddit thread somewhere. But especially in North America, this device has been extremely hard to find. I've spent years looking for this thing and I wasn't able to find it. But after years of scouring, I had some luck on ebay.co.uk of all things. I honestly didn't even know that if you ordered something from eBay in Europe that you'd be able to have it shipped here in Canada, but here it is. So I picked this device up to have in my dumb phone collection and of course to show you guys, and I paid a little bit over 200 Canadian dollars for it. With all that out of the way, let's open this thing up and we'll talk about it, because I think that this is the most interesting dumb phone ever made. This thing only is rivaled to me by the Punkt MP02 as being the coolest dumb phone on the market ever. And let's open it up and I'll talk a little bit about why. So I already have been through this, spoiler alert. It was already open because it's a 10-year-old device, but let's take a look. So in here, let's pull out what we have. We have the John's phone itself. We have a charging brick and a USB cable to micro USB. I mean, so as you guys can see by looking at this device, it's a very interesting looking device. It looks nothing, probably like any smartphone or dumb phone you've ever seen. John's is embossed on this part of the back. We're gonna come back to this part of the device here. We have all the controls on the side here. This side has nothing. Here's the charging port on the bottom. And on the top, we have a little LCD screen. I'll bring the microphone a bit closer so you guys can hear the keypad. I don't know if it would have always sounded like this, but the keypad doesn't sound great. It feels sticky, honestly, but it works. So now taking a look at the controls on the device, we'll talk about that. Here we have a volume rocker switch, which is just kind of like, you rock it, it resets to the bottom here. You rock it down, it resets to the middle. Here we have the switches to the ringer volume. So at the top, I have it on the loudest. The middle, you can switch it down, and that goes to quieter. And then all the way to the bottom, and you turn it off. And then here we have the switch. We have the on, and then the off, and then in the middle, we have a lock. So I'm gonna turn it on and you guys can get a sense of how this thing actually works once it fires up, because it's a pretty interesting little device once it fires up. Here we go. This little guy comes up on the screen and it says John's. Isn't that interesting? We got no network showing up on the screen here because I don't have a SIM card in here yet. This shows you on the left here what I'm switched to, whether I'm switched to the lock here, it'll go down to the middle. And if I turn it off, it'll obviously turn off. Here we have John's written on the side. That is actually the battery indicator. So as it runs out of battery, the spelling for the word Johns starts to decrease, and then eventually you have no letters left and then it turns off. Now, I haven't actually put this thing to a long-term test yet to be able to test the battery life, but when this thing first came out, it boasted 3 weeks in standby time and about 6 hours of continuous call time before you'd run out of battery. And if you receive a call, you're also going to have it coming up on the screen to see who's calling. Now, about connectivity, like many of these earlier phones, especially one from 2010, this phone only runs 2G. So if you're living in Europe somewhere where 2G is still available, that's gonna work great for you. I'm not sure where in the United States 2G, if there still even is 2G whatsoever. Here in Canada, there is one network that still has 2G, and that is Rogers. They will not tell you that they have 2G. They pretty much have made it very clear that it's been discontinued or that you might get some sort of legacy charge if you're using 2G on their devices. However, one band of 2G still seems to be functioning, and I put it in this phone and it works. I just love this device, honestly. The design of this thing, it is just so cool because they had so much fun with it. It's so much different than any of these modern kind of sleek cell phones that everything kind of just looks the same. This thing has a lot of personality to it. There was a bunch of different colors when this first came out. I think there was a pink one, a black one, maybe a brown one, definitely a green one, and then this white one. And all of them have different little logos here for the answering the phone and the hanging up. All of the keys are also illuminated, so if you actually end up using this thing and you find one, you can use it in the dark. Now, moving to the back of the device, we'll get to my favorite part about it, and that is right here. Right here, we have a very interesting little door. And if you pop that up, we have a little booklet. And inside the booklet, we have John's addresses. This is the contact list. So if you wanted to have all of your contacts saved to the John's phone, no problem. You can put them right in here. So as you see, there's plenty of pages actually. It's also alphabetized so that you can organize it if you want to. Very cool, very cute. This one is completely blank. It has never been filled out, so that's cool. I don't intend to write in it. If you continue on through the book here, we have a few other things to note. Right here we have the text message page, and this is an actual text message page. You can write a to and a from with your message. You can cut it out and you can send it to somebody, or you can pass it across the table to somebody, make a little paper airplane, message in a bottle, any way you choose. And on the last page here, we have games. The Nokia can't even touch this with Snake. You know, we have 9 games here of tic-tac-toe or X's and O's. Again, not been filled out, but just stowed away here in the back if you want to use it. And now you might be thinking, that's cute that they have their little address book in here, that they have their text messaging and their games in the back of this phone. Very cute design, but what, I need a pen for it now? Well, the John's Phone people have thought of everything, because in the back we have a stylus. In fact, a little pen, very cute little pen that inserts here into the top of the phone. I honestly think that this is just one of the coolest devices. I think they did such a good job making this thing kind of bizarre. Let's turn it off and then we'll fire the SIM in it and try it out. There goes little John, tucking away. But even that design, to have it be like, bye, that's just cute. That's interesting. Why do no phone companies do anything interesting nowadays? At least very few do. With this device as well, you have to turn it off in order to put the SIM card in. This has a very large old school SIM tray. You need the larger SIM. Thankfully, when you get a phone and it comes with a SIM card, it usually comes with the larger pieces so that you can fit your smaller SIM card within it and then still put it in an older device like this. All right, so for this test call, I'm actually going to call the Hello Weather Service, which is an automated weather report that you can call on your phone and get an update on. This is honestly a great one to do here because you can see the number and I don't care. Let's try it.
Hello Weather. Pour les services en français, appuyez sur le 1. Hello Weather. Please enter code books as your local weather information. Your location. Please use.
Okay, so you guys could hear that. That was an outstanding quality. If you're in somewhere where 2G isn't being fully discontinued, I think you'd actually have pretty decent call quality. But we only have one single band that I think works in all of Canada at this point. So I'm just happy that I got service whatsoever on this thing, but it does work. So yeah, I still wish that this company was doing something because I just think this is a very interesting little device. I'm sure it didn't sell very well. I think that it actually was pretty popular with elderly people, because this is just a phone that an old person can understand. You just type in the phone number you want to call and you just hit the little green one to go and you hit the red one to stop. Pretty easy. But this isn't one of those devices designed with older people in mind. This was supposed to just kind of be the anti-smartphone. I think they saw what was happening with smartphones at the very early stages. People already starting to feel burned out by them and at least on them all the time. And this was something that was a little bit of a protest against that, and I think that that's pretty cool. And that's in fact why I wanted this device as well, the Punkt MP02. And I'll put that side by side here beside the John's phone, and we can take a look at them here. To me, the MP02 and the John's phone, they have a very similar lineage, and maybe that's just the fact that they're European design, but they're both very cool, and they both just seem like artistic, interesting protest devices. The main issue with both these devices, and I am including the MP02 in this, is the lack of repairability with these things. You know, they both kind of scratch the same itch as something like the Nokia 3310, the original one. And that device, you could easily just take the battery out and swap it if you had issues with it. That device was also so simple that you could fix things or even modify things with it. With these devices, that is not the case. But moving the MP02 aside, at the end of the day, I really do like this device. Where the Punkt kind of harkens back to those older style of phones, like we saw with the earlier Nokias, this phone with John's, it kind of just goes its own direction altogether. For me, with so many of the dumb phones that we're seeing nowadays, even though they are really impressive, they are interesting, and they are obviously meeting some sort of need, I feel that they're all kind of riding that line too much of trying to be like a smartphone. Some devices are fully a smartphone, but with some features stripped away. Some, like the minimal phone, is a smartphone with an e-paper screen. Or the Lightphone 3, for example, which is a very expensive, extremely locked down smartphone, essentially, that just has certain apps that you can access. This device is just so much more interesting to me because they're not trying to ride that line whatsoever. This thing is nothing like a smartphone, and that's a good thing. Again, you're gonna have to be a special type of person if this is gonna be your main phone, if you're gonna use this exclusively. You're gonna have to be a person who has a lot of control over your life, and I commend you if you really can make that happen. For me, I do find benefits with having a smartphone at times. I have my 13 mini here, and this is a valuable tool for me, and I treat it as such. But if you are anything like me, you wanna have a smartphone as your main tool, but you also wanna have that tool potentially that you can fully disconnect with, that you can walk away, have that single purpose tool that just does phone. It doesn't do camera, it doesn't do Spotify or podcasts, it doesn't do anything else. It just does calling, the most basic function of a phone since the phone was invented. Then something like the John's phone is pretty interesting. Now, honestly, I'm not gonna suggest you go pick up a John's phone today unless you wanna have one in your collection, because it is a cool device for that. But 2G is just disappearing, and if you do have 2G right now, you probably aren't gonna have it for very long. So I don't think this is gonna be a reliable long-term play, especially with the fact that I don't know how you would even service it when a need comes up. But for me, this device was just too cool not to pick up and try. I wanted to hold this thing in my hands ever since the first time that I saw it. It was kind of a mission of mine to actually get my hands on this, because this is, to me, what really started it all. Back in 2010, people were already getting sick enough of smartphones or eye rolling at them that they would develop something like this. And to me, this is like the grandfather of the dumb phone movement right here. So yeah, I'm excited to have it. I think it's a cool device. I hope you guys found this video interesting today, taking a look at the John's phone, going through it a little bit and talking a little bit about the history of the company. If you're from the company, John Doe Amsterdam, and you're watching this video, please make another one of these. So let me know what you thought of this video in the comments. Are you interested in picking up a John's phone for yourself? I would say hunt around on ebay.co.uk. That's where I found it. There was a seller who had a few models available. Check that out. What do you think of John's phone compared to devices like the Lightphone 3 or the minimal phone? This thing is extremely simple, and if you really want to just do the essence of what a phone is for, this is the ultimate way to decentralize that technology. Thanks again for watching, folks. I hope you have a good rest of your week, and I will see you in the next one.